गोपीजनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यामुनतीरावनचारी यामुनतीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यामुनतीरावनचारी यामुनतीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्र सदस्वी श्रीमद एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति विकास स्वामिनिति नामिने। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So just before beginning the class, I just have one question. Is everyone comfortable with English here? Everyone can understand? Anybody requires translation to Telugu or Hindi? Okay, then maybe they could sit behind and someone can volunteer. Yes. Okay. So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute, text 15. So please repeat after me. Swayam eva atmana atmanam veta tvam purusha uttama bhuta bhavana bhuta isha deva deva jagatpate स्वयं एवात्मनात्मानं वेतत्वं पुरुषोत्तम Bhutavana Bhutesh Deva Deva Jagatpate Swayam Evatmanatmanam Vetattvang Purushottama Bhutavana Bhutesha Deva Deva Jagatpate Swayam Evatmanatmanam Vetattvang Purushottama Bhutavana Bhutesha Deva Deva Jagatpate. Someone? Matajis. Okay. Swayam, personally. Eva, certainly. Atmanam, by yourself. Atmanam, yourself. Veta, no. Tvam, you. Purusha Uttama, O greatest of all persons. Bhuta Bhavana, O origin of everything. Bhuta Isha, O Lord of everything. Deva Deva, O Lord of all demigods. Jagatpate, O Lord of the entire universe. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. Purport. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with Him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his followers. Persons of demoniac or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna, and since it is the signs of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 11, Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmayeti bhagavan iti shabdhyate. The Supreme Truth is realized in three aspects: as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and at last as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, at the last stage of understanding the Absolute Truth, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a common man or even a liberated man who has realized impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma may not understand God's personality. Such men, therefore, may endeavor to understand the Supreme Person from the verses of Bhagavad Gita which are being spoken by this person, Krishna. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagavan or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot understand Krishna as Purushottama, the Supreme Person. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama. Yet one still may not understand that Krishna is the father of all living entities. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Bhuta Bhavana. And if one comes to know him as the father of all the living entities, still one may not know him as the supreme controller. Therefore, he is addressed here as Bhutesha, the supreme controller of everyone. And even if one knows Krishna as the supreme controller of all living entities, still one may not know that he is the origin of all the demigods. Therefore, he is addressed herein as Devadeva, the worshipful god of all the demigods. One may not know that he is the supreme proprietor of everything. Therefore, he is addressed as Jagatpati. Thus, the truth about Krishna is established in the verse by the realization of Arjuna, and we should follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna as he is. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swaminiti Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we are just going through the Bhagavad Gita chapters and we are just in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So I thought it would be a little relevant to discuss Gita today. Now, specifically in today's verse, Arjuna, after having heard the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita are those 4 verses in which the entire Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is given here in these 4 verses. Krishna very clearly explains that he is the origin of everything. All the spiritual and the material worlds are emanating from him. And Krishna explains that one who is Buddha, one who is intelligent, knows this fact, and what he does, he engages in his loving devotional service. Then Krishna goes on to explain those who are aware that he is a supreme and rendering service to him is the topmost service. What do? So Krishna explains that they, with their full heart and mind, they constantly discuss about him. Madchitta madghata prana bodhayantah parasparam katayantascha mam nityam. Not for a short time, not for 5 days a week, and then 2 days holidays, or 8 hours. That's how everything functions in the material world, right? It's not like he says that Madchitta madghata prana bodhayantah katayantascha mam nityam. Nityam word means all the time, eternally, all 24 hours, 365 days. That is the constitutional position of the soul, to constantly glorify Krishna. So, the devotees, they constantly glorify Krishna. They're completely absorbed in him. So Krishna says that is their nature, to always glorify, and then constantly discussing about him, speaking about him. What is it that they are relishing it at every step. Those who are self-realized devotees, those who are even the beginning stages, Krishna consciousness is such a powerful process that thinking of Krishna, chanting his names, speaking about him, glorifying about him is always very auspicious, and it gives complete satisfaction for the soul. So this is the another secret, that unless it gives satisfaction, it is not possible to chant his names. It is not possible to hear about him. It is not possible to hear about the same pastimes again and again. Every year we hear there could be a Ramanavami festival, there could be a Krishna Janmashtami. So many different festivals are happening. During festivals, we are hearing about Krishna's various pastimes, which we might have heard before. But why it is not boring? Sometimes we can think about it. Why it is not boring? Because the very nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever fresh. He is every second. He is Nava Yauvanam. He is Nitya Nutana. He is ever fresh, always fresh. So it is always. He is very captivating. His personality is captivating. His name is captivating. His activities are captivating. So it is natural for the soul to hear about him and glorify him. Of course, in diseased condition, we may have some obstacles and difficulties, but nevertheless, this is the medicine. Bhavaushadi Shrotra Manobhiramat, the Bhagavatam explains that this is the perfect medicine for for all the conditioned souls. So Krishna explains that so the devotees are constantly discussing about him, they are relishing about him, and they are fully satisfied. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So they are completely satisfied. And then Krishna goes on to explain, after having when the devotees absorbed like this, how Krishna helps those devotees who are taken shelter of him, who are engaging in his service. What Krishna says that Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Those who are engaged in his service with priti. This word priti, you can see it's quite often. Priti means with love. With love, those who are engaged in his service. What the Lord does for them, the Lord gives them the required intelligence to know about him, to know about his abode, to know about the powerful process of devotional service, and he gives them the understanding by which they can come back to him. So this is the secret. So Krishna says that I give them the intelligence, how they can come back to me. And then Krishna further explains that how he, seated in the heart of the devotee, what he does, he completely cleanses all the misgivings, all the dirt that is accumulated in the heart. He cleanses that with the torchlight of knowledge. By giving, there is one, it reminds me of, there is a temple in Kanchipuram. The Lord is called as the Deepa Prakasha, or his name is what he does. By giving transcendental knowledge, he removes all the darkness in the heart of his devotees. So the Lord, for those who are surrendered, the Lord actually, he gives this knowledge, and by that knowledge we surrender to him. This is the whole key process, right? Ultimately we should surrender to the Supreme Lord, and surrender happens not by coming to, like this chapter, the title of this chapter is called as the opulence of the absolute. So by knowing, so Srila Prabhupada always used to say, what is the simply to say God is great, that is not sufficient. We should know how God is great, isn't it? And only when we know how God is great, we will appreciate him, and we will try to take shelter of him. So Bhagavad Gita, as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, is giving that knowledge of how God is great, and on top of that, it gives us that the Lord really loves us, and the Lord is really waiting for us to take shelter of him, and it is ready to exchange loving reciprocation with his devotees. Yesterday we were hearing one lecture. Srila Prabhupada is making an amazing point. He's saying that the Lord has come in the form of the Archa Vigraha, and he's just waiting to talk to us. It's amazing, right? We can see Lord face to face, and he's ready to talk to us, provided if we are interested to talk to us. So here we can see in this verse the realization of Arjuna, how he is glorifying the Lord. So after having heard the Chatushloki Gita, Arjuna is immediately he was in great realization, he said that, "Oh my dear Lord, you are the purest of the pure. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum." So he glorifies the position of Krishna. He calls him that he is the supreme abode. And then he says that he is the purest of the person. So now there we get a hint to, so he is the purest person in this entire cosmos. And he is the original person, Adi Devam. And Ajam is unborn. And Vibhum is the greatest. And then this he says, again you can see here, it's not some kind of sentiments. If somebody may say that, oh, Arjuna is friend of Krishna, so he's saying that. But no, he's immediately acknowledging. He says that all the great sages also, they point out the same. Narada, Sita, Devala, Vyasa, they confirm this truth about you. So then this is again a hint for us that we need to understand about the signs of the absolute, not in some kind of a sentimental way, but according to the conclusions of the scriptures and according to the realizations of the great acharyas. Now you see again the profound realization of Arjuna in the next verse. He says that, so after having heard all these things, Arjuna says that Sarvam etadrutang manye yanmam vadasi Keshava. Krishna, whatever that you have spoken, I am accepting it as truth. This is very much required for us to make progress in spiritual life. In the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada makes a point. This is a very significant point. He says that we should at least theoretically accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm sure quite some of you have read this. Unless we accept Krishna theoretically as Supreme Personality of God, there is no point in further reading Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? For example, let's say, now, for that matter, you are hearing from any speaker and someone says that such and such a person has some problems with the mind. He has quite some time visited Nimhans. For those who do not know what is Nimhans, Nimhans is a mental hospital which is nearby in Bangalore. Quite some people are being treated there. And he says that, okay, this fellow is a crazy person. These are his history, and so many bad reports are given about him. Will anybody be interested to hear from him? No, nobody will be interested to hear. But rather, if the real qualification of the person is explained, and you may not have really gone and seen that, but at least you theoretically accept, then you're ready to hear from him. So similarly, Prabhupada is making a point that at least theoretically accept Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and start your journey with the Bhagavad Gita. Isn't it? So you can see in the purport here today, Prabhupada is making a point that how Arjuna accepted Krishna, we should accept Krishna in that way, he's saying. Then we can understand Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying. Prabhupada is explaining this point. So, it's very important for us to systematically understand the teachings, what Krishna is explaining the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, what happens, in the material world, we are constantly pulled by our senses and mind to enjoy various kinds of sense gratification. That is the very nature of this material world. It pulls us in different directions. The eyes are pushing us to watch so many beautiful things. The ears want to hear something sweet. The tongue is pulling us to eat whatever that we think is palatable. The sense of touch, it wants to touch many soft things. So like that, every sense is what do you say? What do you call? It's pulling us in different directions, and then we are constantly tossed by the different pullings of the material energies, and then we are in great anxiety. So our mind becomes very weak. We may hear something from Gita, and then when we go home, when we turn the TV or when you open the smartphone, we watch so many crazy things, the mind gets distracted. We are just going far away from Krishna, and we are in difficulty and suffering. So then the acharyas are explaining that why we have to hear Bhagavad Gita every day, why we have to hear the signs of Krishna consciousness, because this will make our mind strong. Siddhante boliye chitte na kore alas. Iha hoite laha hoite sudrida manas. Iha hoite lage Krishna sudrida manas. The mind becomes strong when we try to understand proper philosophical conclusions. So, the philosophy is very straightforward and clear. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are His eternal servants and we are meant to give pleasure to Krishna. That's it. It's over. Surrender to Krishna. Chant His names. This is our philosophy. But to understand this systematically, Krishna is also presenting about Himself, about His various energies, about this material world, about the nature of this material world, how there are different sufferings in this material world, how the mind and senses are dragging us away from this path of Krishna consciousness. So what is meant by lust, how we have to deal with lust, what is real yoga, what is meant by yoga, how to control the mind. Actually, who is God? Is He a person or is He some light? Or is He some consciousness? So all those things Krishna systematically explains in the Bhagavad Gita. So when we approach the Bhagavad Gita with the right spirit and hear from Krishna through His pure devotees, then our mind becomes strong. Otherwise, what happens? Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, He explains that Pariname Vishamiva. He says that in the beginning, the rajasic activities, the sense gratificatory activities in the beginning appears to be very nice. It looks very appealing. Let's go for a cinema. Let's go for a disco show. Let's go watch T20 match. Let's go watch this, watch that. It appears really good. Or yesterday I was speaking to one boy. He was so much absorbed in one game in the smartphone. I said that you are just digging your own grave. Oh, it's very interesting, bro. What do you do? There's a video game where he's trying to shoot at someone. This is the video game that he's playing. So foolish. I said, then when you are in illusion, we ourselves cannot see. Somebody has to come out and then explain and show us, hey, you are in the wrong path. You are really going to suffer. You are suffering now, you are going to suffer later also. Although it appears like an enjoyment. So Krishna says that the beginning it will appear like an enjoyment, but that very process that you are undergoing, you will end up in great suffering. And then Krishna says that, but while trying to take up to the path of devotion or the spiritual path, which is a path in Sattva Guna, at the beginning it will appear like poison. It's not actually poison, but it will, because we are so conditioned and diseased state, it will appear to be very difficult. But that same path becomes like a nectar after sufficient purification. So why I am saying this point? Because our mind will become strong by giving proper oral reception to the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, in this verse, Krishna is addressing that Arjuna is giving his realization. He says that you can be understood only by, you know yourself by your own internal potency. Krishna is fully aware of his position, and a devotee can try to understand Krishna through his internal potency. We cannot understand Krishna by our own power or by our own strength of our senses or mind. We have to understand, we can get a glimpse of understanding of Krishna by his mercy. And his mercy is flowing through his pure devotees. Okay, so that is the system that Krishna has set up. So now Srila Prabhupada in the purport is making the point that so one cannot understand Krishna by scholarship. He can understand Krishna only through pure devotional service. This is a very key point in this purport. In several purports, Prabhupada is making this point again and again, again and again. So why he is driving this point? So he says that we have to submit ourselves to the Lord. Then the Lord will reveal himself to us. This is the secret. So that's why it is explained in the Puranas that Atasri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai sevon mukehi jigvadav swayam eva spuratyadaha. Now the point is, so Krishna's name, form, His various pastimes, his various attributes, everything will be revealed to us. How it will reveal to us? We cannot by our own endeavor try to understand that. But na bhavet grahyam indriyai sevon mukhehi jigvado. So with the tongue, we begin that service by chanting his names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by honoring the mercy is prasadam. So what happens? Gradually purification happens in our heart. Shinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantastohi abhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam. So the Lord who is sitting inside the heart as Paramatma, he is a well-wisher, he is a benefactor. He cleanses our heart. So for whom sevon mukhe is so important. So from time immemorial, we have deviated ourselves from serving the Lord in various bodies. So many bodies. We have transferred ourselves into so many bodies, and we have experienced all kinds of relationships. We have been a wife, we have been a husband, we have been a father-in-law, we have been a mother-in-law, we have been a sister, we have been a brother, and so many. And not only in human species, we have tried all these things in various others. 84 lakh species are there. In 84 lakh species, we have experienced so many different kinds of things, and still because of the illusory energy, we are trying to lord over the material nature. You see, this is the problem. So, but why? Because the Sevon Mukha never began. But then by the mercy of the Lord's devotees, the whole concept of, or the whole idea of Sevon Mukha begins. So if not for Srila Prabhupada, who had traveled to the West, if he had not given this Bhagavad Gita as it is and distributed it, and then his teachings through various other books and his lectures and conversations, today what would have been our position? We would never be Sevon Mukha. At least now we are at least theoretically accepted that we have to engage in the service of the Lord, and we are trying, and we are on the right path. Otherwise, the whole it is like, so many people, so many Bhagavad Gitas are there available in the market. I'm not sure how many of you know about Srila Prabhupada's disciple, His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu. So when he was here in one of the class, he explained that, he said that before reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, he said that he had read so many Bhagavad Gitas. And he said that many Bhagavad Gitas never made sense to him. But then when he got Bhagavad Gita as it is, immediately it struck him. Because Prabhupada very clearly presents how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How we are the jivas, we are meant to serve him. Unless the jivas are in its constitutional position as servants of Krishna and engage in his service, we cannot really be happy in this material world. So it's all very clear points, crystal clear points. There is no vague thing, there is no confusion. Everything is very clear. So here, Arjuna, so Prabhupada is immediately explaining in the purport about the position of the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three ways. The effulgence of the Lord, and the Lord himself is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, and then there is the personal feature of the Lord. So Gita points out the personal feature as well, and also Bhagavatam further elaborates about the personal feature of the Lord, and the reciprocation that the Lord develops with reveals with his devotees, and the devotees reciprocate with the Lord. So all those things are very nicely elaborated in the Bhagavatam. So this is the science of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada points out that in the purport, and further Srila Prabhupada points out that how Krishna is the supreme controller, he is the supreme creator, and he is the supreme maintainer, and he is the one who is destroying everything. Although he is doing all these activities, there is a very, very important characteristic of the Supreme Lord. That is a great contribution of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that. What is that? So many people, they know God like that, right? He is the supreme. When you say, who is God? God is the supreme creator. He is the supreme maintainer. He is the supreme destructor. Everything you can say, okay, these are all definitely, these are all characteristics of the Lord, but there is a very special characteristic of the Lord. That is he is the supreme enjoyer. This is the contribution of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's not interested in doing anything else actually. He wants to enjoy, and he enjoys with his pure devotees. So that's the point. Now in this verse, systematically, so many different names are mentioned. The Lord is addressed as Purushottama, he is addressed as Devadeva, he is Bhuta Bhavana, he is Bhuta Isha, he is the Jagat Pate. So Arjuna is acknowledging Krishna's position as how he is controlling this material world, how everything is emanating from him, how he is the master of all the devatas, how he is the master of the entire universe, how he is the master of every living entity. So this is all the unique position of the Lord. Yet further, Gita and the Bhagavatam goes on to explain that the Lord is, he really likes to have loving exchanges with his devotees. That's what is his real interest. So this is the signs of Krishna consciousness. So this is what our acharyas are giving us. Now, now the problem is when we try to hear from those who are not devotees, then we will be misdirected. So it is not that, when we say that, why you have to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, we should be fully convinced why Bhagavad Gita as it is a very special book, because really it gives us the essence, what Krishna gave to Arjuna. That message is available for us. Otherwise, we will be completely lost. In the name of spiritual life, we will be lost to know the real facts. So we will be cheated at the end of the day. So that is, otherwise we will get to know that Krishna is some kind of there is one so-called Mahatma who says that Krishna is a imaginary person. Actually, there is nothing like Krishna. It's very offensive to even say that. So you will get all kinds of these ideas. Actually, it's not you should not surrender to Krishna, but to the unborn within. All these speculations. See what Prabhupada said here. Did anybody observe in the purport? Amazing point he says. I'll read it again. He says that mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin. You see, all these people, this is what they do. They take Bhagavad Gita and then they interpret it according to their own whims and fancies. Once Srila Prabhupada gave an example. He said that you want to smoke cigarette, you smoke cigarette with your own hand. Why are you putting it in my mouth and trying to, using my hand and trying to smoke cigarette? Prabhupada is just making a mockery actually. That's what they are doing, It's the rascals actually. They are just cheating innocent people and taking them away from Krishna. So as we said, it's a very serious subject matter. That's why in Krishna consciousness movement, it's not a sentimental movement. Prabhupada says that sentimental movement means, yes, the ultimate essence of Krishna consciousness is in chanting Hare Krishna, chanting and dancing. Kevala Ananda Kanda, yes. But then why we are dancing and chanting? Come and read with us. Read Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavatam. You will understand why we are singing and dancing. Some people say that there are something like madmen, they just dance. But why we are dancing? This is the ultimate perfection of the human form of life, is to simply dance like madmen for Krishna. Why do we do that? So we have Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, which explains that. So that's why Srila Prabhupada instituted, morning we have Bhagavatam class, evening we have Gita class. And then the whole day is packed with a lot of service for Krishna. When we may distribute books, we may construct a temple, we may make garlands for the Lord, we may devotees dress the Lord, and the devotees cook for the Lord, devotees work in publishing the books, and devotees go for preaching to the students. There are so many varieties of preaching programs Srila Prabhupada instituted, just to convince the point that human form of life is meant for sacrifice, and sacrifice means giving ourselves to Krishna. So that is and also we learn by reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, gradually the tendency to enjoy this material world, we gradually give up the tendency to enjoy this material world. From that position, what happens? We try to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord, and by that we become happy. So today morning we were just discussing about the pastimes of Vamana Dev with Bali Maharaj. So in that, Bali Maharaj gave himself completely to Vamana Dev. And because of that, generally usually we are very fearful to give something and to give everything. This is the demand of Gita. Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. He says that Give up everything and surrender to me. Oh, wait a minute. You have to give up everything. Why I have to give up everything? But then we understand, when we give up everything, we are completely happy. We are totally happy. One of the names of Krishna in the Vishnu Sahasranam is called as Sukada, one who bestows happiness. So the Lord can give us complete happiness. But the one thing is that we should not hold anything with us. We should give ourselves completely to the Lord. So, well, that takes time. But actually, it could be in a second it can happen. But because of some of our conditioning in so many lifetimes, so depending on the seriousness with which we surrender, the purification will happen so fast. So, but we are in the right track. We are in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We are in the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the great acharyas in the parampara. So, if we just stick to what Srila Prabhupada has given us, and as he says, chant the holy names of the Lord, wake up in the morning, read Bhagavad Gita, follow this process that is given by Srila Prabhupada, definitely we will also have good realizations and take shelter of Krishna. Just before concluding the class, I just want to have one point, just because Srila Prabhupada is stressing about that. Last 2 days, one person is trying to contact me, and he is trying to say that he wants to give some comments about Supreme Lord Krishna and Vishnu. Total speculation. He wants to, I don't even want to discuss in the class, but I just want to make a point that he says the Lord has 4 hands. So for 4 hands, the Lord has 4 hands, Shankha, Chakra, Gadha, Padma he holds. And the Lord, that the Lord wants to protect his devotee. The Lord wants to give shelter to his devotee. So many different explanations are given by the acharyas. But he wants to give some crazy explanation which is not approved by the acharyas, which is not approved by the scriptures, which is not approved by so Guru Sadhu Shastra Vakya Chitete Korya Aikya. This is what we need to understand, that whatever that we speak, whatever that we hear, whatever that we write, it should be according to the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Otherwise, what happens? Otherwise it becomes what? Thank you very much. It becomes a serious sin. It becomes mental speculation. So, he just called me today. No, you have not responded to my message. I said, sir, you want to save your life? Give up all your hodgepodge ideas. You please come and take Prabhupada's book. Try to understand who is God, what is the signs of God, and you need to learn. Otherwise, you will be in deep trouble. So I just invited him to the temple. So I'm expecting him to come and meet him. The point is that I want to say that we are very safe. We are very safe when we hear in parampara. So I'm just giving some time so that we could have some questions and answers. You have some questions, you have some doubts, you have some realizations, you have some oppositions, anything, you're welcome. So don't feel shy. If you have some questions, please ask. Yes. Yes. Correct. Okay, the question is, that the Lord has come in the form of Archa Vigraha, and we can talk to the Lord, and the Lord is ready to reciprocate. But then again, the Lord also has appeared as his devotee or the Guru, and he gives us instructions. Same Lord is, I'm getting the point that in the Lord, as Guru is giving us instructions, but we are not able to listen to it or follow it. What to do? That's the question, right? So as Srila Prabhupada used to say, what's the difficulty? What's the difficulty? Actually, there should be no difficulty when we have faith that he is my spiritual master or he is my authority. And as here, Arjuna, just now in this verse, Arjuna said, Sarvam etadritang manye yanmam vadasi Keshava. We should have faith, and then we should, that is the proper attitude in devotional service, that to have faith and then accept the teachings and then accept the instructions and follow it. Yeah, the question could be, it could have so many details from whom you are hearing, what you are hearing, and like that. But in principle, we should understand that I'm specifically speaking about you when you have taken shelter of a spiritual master, and spiritual master gives us an instruction. It is the duty of the disciple to follow. Otherwise, he is no more a disciple. Disciple means discipline. So you should follow the instructions of the guru. And he might have given those instructions to follow some representative, his representative. And we should have faith and follow that if you want to make progress and purify. So it's a question of attitude. So the attitude is so important. So we need to understand that I'm not, there could be, we may have material desires, but material desires, put the material desires on the side, and try to take shelter and try to follow his instructions and try to please him. So that's the process. So yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya aprasadat nagati kutopi. So if you want to please Krishna, you have to please his devotee. So that is the system that Krishna has set up. So maybe there could be details of it that needs to be worked out. But this is the principle. So it's a question of, and also one other thing, Krishna in Srila Prabhupada, he points out that you may be very scripturally, maybe you might have studied so many books, you may be apparently doing good sadhana and like that, but the attitude is so important. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, in the preface to the Nectar of Instruction, he says, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So if our attitude is not proper, you may have so many skills. You may be a great mridanga player. You can, be a good orator. You can do so many things. But if your attitude is not pleasing to Krishna and his devotees, but it is something like mandanam lokaranjanam. It is something like decorating a dead body with various ornaments and, putting all kinds of makeup and like that. Just to give you an answer in brief. Any other question? Anything else? Yes. Oh, actually we have a mic. Haram. Yeah, you can please speak loudly for now. Yes, there is one more. Yeah, I didn't say, Prabhupada is saying. Yes. Will he get what? Yes. Okay. 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 I got the question. And so the question is, someone is reading the Bhagavad Gita, but he has some speculative ideas, but he's reading the Bhagavad Gita. Will he be purified, or will he on the path? Yes. See, there is one thing. Prabhupada also speaks about mental speculation. In another place, in one of the lectures, he says about it. So, so now Prabhupada says in one place, Prabhupada says Krishna is the taste of water. Now, for us to understand how Krishna is taste of water, and we can even question how Krishna can be taste of water. You see, this is very bad. So Krishna is taste of water. So when you drink water, you immediately have this, oh, this is water that I am tasting. This is Krishna. So like that, this is also one realization. So like that, we can approach. But if you very much the question, the very authority. That's why I said at the beginning that at least theoretically accept Krishna to be Supreme Lord. You might not have been fully convinced about it, but theoretically accept, and then you take up the process, because the whole Krishna consciousness is a process of surrender. So you go through the process. Then if you theoretically accept and follow the process, that is what the whole process is all about. When the mercy flows through Krishna, through his devotees, it comes to us. Then yes, definitely there will be a great process of, by the process of hearing this message will purify us. Now I'll just give you one other incident. One person, maybe this happened somewhere in Spain. He got he from India, he went to the West. He wanted to learn Spanish. Okay, somebody was distributing book, so I think he got Krishna book in Spanish. So his intention of purchasing the book was, maybe I could learn little Spanish. That was his idea. He didn't want to know about Krishna and all those things, but somehow or other he was trying to read the book, and then he was trying to understand here and there. And gradually, as whatever points Srila Prabhupada was speaking in that, was making a lot of sense to him. After some time, what happened? He was gradually getting convinced by because Krishna book is a very powerful book. There is philosophy and also story, but there's also quite some philosophy also. Prabhupada is explaining many points in that. So he became very convinced, and then gradually he found where is the temple. He found where he went to the devotees, started asking many questions, and then he started to read Prabhupada books more seriously, and later he got initiated, and then he's distributing books. So the example that I'm trying to give you is that in beginning one may have a lot of doubts, mental speculation, and like that, but if you approach the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam with proper attitude, then even you may not be fully convinced of it. You have so many doubts, but if you approach with proper attitude, Prabhupada clarifies many things while reading, and then gradually this is why Srila Prabhupada says many places that why ISKCON is created, why Prabhupada wanted to have ISKCON, because he wanted to create the pure devotees in ISKCON so that people will come and associate with the devotees, and by the association of devotees, many of their misgivings and doubts and many other wrong ideas they will clear, and then they will surrender to Krishna. That is the idea. Does this answer your question? Yes. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, you can use the mic.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, as you mentioned, the very nature of this material world is to attract pull us and to enjoy the sense gratification part. And as you likely gave an example, after the Gita lecture, we may go back to the room and open the mobile phone, crazy things may appear, and then we lose the interest in the bhakti also. So the question is, how do we make our mind strong in that way, and also to really lose the taste for sense gratification, because this is a very tough part to lose the taste. Even though we may have the higher taste, like rasa varjam rasopyasa, we may have the higher taste, but this lower taste, it may not go quickly. But how do we really lose the taste for sense gratification and not wasting the time?
Okay, so the point is there are couple of things to understand. One is that in the items of surrender, 6 items of surrender, the first 2 items says that anukulyase sankalpa pratikulyase varjanam. Whatever that is favorable to Krishna consciousness, you accept, and whatever that is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, you reject. So there are certain things we need to reject, so that we need to be convinced about that. So you know that if you go and touch the fire, your fingers will burn. So then why are you putting your hand in the fire, right? So we need to be philosophically convinced that this is not good for me. This is not good for me. This association is bad association. These things are very detrimental for me in the progress of Krishna consciousness. So with that, we should stay away from it. And Krishna also says in the Gita, in the 2nd chapter of the Gita, he says that Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. So he says that at the beginning only, from the mind, to kick the bad thoughts away is the first step to be done, which is not so easy. Easy to say, it's difficult. But then when we are in the association of like-minded devotees who are very sincerely and seriously practicing, then we will be able to, by in the close proximity, we will be able to give up. That's why, we can see we should never be alone. We should not move around alone. We should always be in the association of devotees while distributing books, while meeting people. It's good because we are Kali Yuga people. We are very weak-minded. And then one thing we should be very much convinced that this may not happen over a fortnight. You may say, Prabhuji, I am chanting for 5 years. I don't see much of progress in this. Well, progress is there. Your chanting itself is a progress. You have not given up the process. So that itself is very good. Now, we are not making progress because maybe we are making some mistakes. We are putting water in the fire, which we are not supposed to do. Correct? So we should stop putting water in the fire. Then the fire will burn very nicely. So that needs to be understood. So and also we need the patience. So that's why Srila Rupa Goswami's instructions on Upadeshamrita, it's very, very solid. It says Utsahan, Nishchayat, Dhairyat. Tattat Karma Pravartanat, Sangatayat, will go to the next. These 3 I'm just speaking about. Utsahan, we should be very enthusiastic to follow the process of Krishna consciousness. We should be enthusiastic to come and then associate with devotees, dance in Kirtan, loudly sing the holy names of the Lord, hear about Krishna, We hear Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, read Prabhupada's book, we should show our enthusiasm. This enthusiasm is the key. So, yeah, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati, Apikutopi Labhyatam. So he says that this whole Krishna conscious process, how we can buy this, how we can get this, so that intense greed, laulyam mulyam ekalam. So that is a whole secret. So that interest we need to show. We may like a child, it's trying to walk. After some time, little bit of walking, again it falls down. Again, what it does, it again tries. So like that, with the help of the devotees, with the help of our acharyas, we take complete shelter. Keep trying and trying and trying and trying. We should keep again and again. Should keep trying. So this also, we should be determined to do that. Should not try a couple of times and then we should not give it up, isn't it? Totally. What's the point? We should not give up this whole process. So try. We may have some failure. Doesn't matter. Better to try. Better to try sincerely. Just keep. So there's a utsahan, nishchaya, dhairya. So with determinations, patience is also required. I did this, but nothing is happening. Be patient. Like Prabhupada gives that example. What's that? The girl gets married, and the next day she expects the child to be born. Oh, you have to wait for 10 months at least, right? So like that. So we need to be patient, and also we should not forget. It's a very time-tested process. Krishna himself is giving assurance in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashita bahavo jnana tapaso putamad bhavam agataha. Krishna says that so many men in the past, by taking up this the process of getting the transcendental knowledge, performing the austerities in this path of devotional service, they all have become purified. So if we also have faith, and with patience, determination, and enthusiasm, endeavor, we can overcome this. And then this is on a high level principle I'm just explaining. And then many practical considerations we should see, and those who are very seriously practicing, just by associating with him, we can learn. Also, this book will also be of great help. This book on Brahmacharya and Krishna consciousness, you can read that book. Many practical tips Maharaj is explaining in that book, how to bring the mind back in the service of the Lord. And also, we should have that, we might do so many things. This whole the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful. So giving up sense gratification, it's a kind of a negative process. Give up. But the more we engage in chanting and hearing, the more we develop taste for chanting and hearing, naturally these lower desires will come out. We will be able to give up. Okay. It's a big topic, we can talk for a long time, but then just some answer in brief. Any other question? Yes. Yes, probably here. Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru.
Yes.
Prabhupada mentioned that Muni means one who agitated mind with different speculations. So is it also a sin, Prabhu?
Okay. It's a good question. He's asking that. Because if you see in this shloka, what is that? Naso rishir yasya matirna bhinnam. You call a person a rishi. Why? Because he has an opinion, and another person has another opinion. Then they have a different insight. But then the point here is that we have to understand it's not a sin. The point is, if something which is a deviation from the conclusions of the scriptures, okay, then that is a sin. But there may be different devotees may give different realizations which is within the Guru Sadhu Shastra. Okay, so that is not a mental speculation. Mental speculation is something which is freshly baked in the mind, or it is freshly cooked in the mind, that you feel I feel like this. This is what is my opinion. But our opinion should not be our opinion. Our opinion should be based on Guru Sadhu Shastra. So when it is not based on Guru Sadhu Shastra, then that becomes a sin. So a rishi may have a realization, but that realization necessarily need not be a mental speculation. But it may be on one level, but there may be more realizations. So like that. So in that sense, you understand the point. It is not a mental speculation or a sin like that.
Means a favorable speculation.
That's what I already explained. Favorable speculation in the sense that you may try to understand some subject matter for a better understanding, but not at the cost of giving up the main fact. Or for example, you may discuss so many things. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Forget, we will not accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. We will try to speculate something. Then that's a meaningless speculation. Okay, you understand? So that is the point.
Related
Yes.
to that, with Stitadir Muni means,
Ah.
what does it
Yeah, Prabhupada says Stitadir Muni means one who has controlled his senses and mind. One who has, in the second chapter, he gives his definition. Stitadhir Muni Ruchyate. He explains that he is the one who has controlled his mind and senses. He has controlled his speech, he has controlled his actions, so like that. So he is a Stitadhir Muni. Basically, a devotee is a Stitadhir Muni who uses his tongue, who uses his mind, who uses his intelligence only for pleasing the Lord. That's the whole point. Let's try to go to that verse. So, any other questions? Yeah, I just gave some time so that we can have question and answers. Yeah, Prabhupada's word-to-word translation is like this. Stitadhir Munir Uchyate. He says, Stitadihi, whose mind is steady. A sage whose mind is steady. So that's the point. He is free from attachment, fear, and anger because he has controlled his senses in the mind. He's free from anger. This, you can afterwards read the second chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 56th verse. Anything else? There is also a powerful process by which we can control the mind and senses by honoring Krishna Prasadam. I got the message. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm. I hope you had a good Harinam and try to distribute some books. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Hare Krishna.